Good evening and welcome to this regular meeting of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth. Our meeting date is Monday, December 18th, 2023. I'm Mayor Todd Kasenberg and I'll call this meeting to order. I ask the clerk to note our starting time for the minutes is 7 p.m. A warm welcome is extended to councillors, staff, delegations, and observers who will participate in this meeting, regardless of being physically in attendance in the council chamber in Listowel or being connected through web technologies. We begin tonight's meeting with the playing of O Canada. Those in chambers as able are invited to stand. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe peoples. We wish to recognize the long history of Indigenous peoples in Canada and show our respect to them today. We recognize their stewardship of the land. May we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship. Tonight's meeting is being streamed live on the Municipality of North Perth YouTube channel and will be available there after the meeting as an archived video. To those viewing this meeting via the YouTube channel, a warm welcome to you. To those present in the gallery today, by attending a public meeting of the Council, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded, and their voice, image, and comments will form part of the live stream. The chair and or the clerk have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances when deemed relevant. Circumstances may include instances where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory, or potentially inappropriate to be published. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate and or unacceptable behavior and or comments. Thank you. This time I invite your decorum over the course of the coming meeting. We are all in our seats. Let us turn then to item 5 of our agenda pertaining to pecuniary interest. For the benefit of those unfamiliar with our council practices, provincial legislation requires councillors with a potential pecuniary or financial interest in any item at the council table to declare this interest and to remove her or himself from discussions and voting on the item. In accordance with recommended protocol at this time, I invite all councillors with a perceived pecuniary interest, including those who have already declared in writing, to verbally advise the chair in public session and to submit documentation to this effect, if not already done, to the clerk. Councillors are further reminded that should a potential conflict arise during the meeting, they may so declare and act at any point in the meeting. At this point in time, then, let's turn over to my colleagues. I know that Councillor Anstead has declared in advance. Councillor Anstead, welcome. Let me get your microphone here. There we go.
Thank you, Mayor Kasenberg. And through you this evening, I'll be declaring a conflict on item 9.2.1, the fees and charges bylaw. as my children attend the daycare at St. Mary's School and before and after school programming, and also on item 17.1, the confirmatory bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anstett. I noted that Councillor Johnston had wished to come in on this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll declare a conflict on our delegation tonight, 8.1, 9.1.1, and 12.1.1, all dealing with the Cleveland file, as I'm an officer of a corporation that owns land adjacent to that property, and then also 17.1, the confirmatory bylaw.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Johnston. Anyone else wishing to make a declaration tonight? All right, seeing none, let's move forward. My role as chair prompts me to manage the flow of proceedings tonight and largely in accord with our agenda, yet to be approved. Some may be participating remotely by web conference. Should they wish to speak, they may draw attention to the clerk through the text chat function for this purpose. If technical difficulties arise for remote participants, I will certainly advise. Let's now focus on the people's business. Part of that effort is achieved when those in chamber silence and put away their phones. Regarding item 6 of our agenda, I have a motion before me for the approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting that is somewhat modified. To the clerk, did you wish to raise comments about this?
Through you, Mayor Kasenberg, due to staff illness, we've requested that item 9.4.1 regarding the well inspection reports be pulled from tonight's agenda, and it will be presented in the new year.
Thank you, Clerk Carter. All right, so the motion is revised from what was in our agenda package as follows: that the agenda for tonight's meeting be approved as amended to remove item 9.4.1, 2023 well inspection reports. Moved by Councillor Blazek. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. All right, Councillor Anstett records a manual yes vote for the resolution. And we have 10, so that is carried. Thank you. Let's move forward then to item 7 on our agenda, the so-called consent agenda. Consent items are placed on our agenda because they're believed to be non-contentious. They may convey information only, and yet sometimes they do warrant council consideration for action or further recognition. Grouping them expedites our business. However, any councillor wishing to extract an item from the consent agenda for discussion, debate, and or individual action may do so. There are 8 items on our consent agenda tonight, including the minutes of our last regular council meeting and minutes from a budget committee meeting. Councillors, anything to extract here or corrections needed to any of those minutes? I'm not seeing any indication of same, so I have a motion for consideration as follows. The consent items 7.1 to 7.8 be received for information, and the minutes of the December 11th, 2023 regular council meeting and the November 29th budget meeting be adopted. Can I call for mover? Councillor Rothwell, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Anstett. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. Let's move then to item number 8 on our agenda. We do have a single delegation queued up in advance for us. I'll remind the delegation that in accordance with the Council's procedural bylaw, a total time of 10 minutes per delegation is permitted and found under items 9.1.1 and 12.1 of tonight's agenda. Mr. Chauvin has just stepped in. Amazing timing. The floor is yours. Let me get your podium mic here.
Thank you, Mayor Todd. Members of Council, my name is Pierre Chauvin. Here on behalf of the Clelands to speak to the bylaw that's before you. Just want to recap that we did have a public meeting a few weeks back, and the bylaw was supported as well as the official plan at County Council. And this evening, I think what you have before you are two options. What was at sort of at a bit of a debate was the number of parking spaces that are in the proposed bylaw proposed to be regulated. Our preference is what is option 2, which is zero restriction on that parking. I think we believe there's better ways of controlling the parking. Our client is not selling vehicles. They're not in a business of storing vehicles. They're in a business of repairing vehicles. The vehicles will all be stored when they're waiting for their customers to come back or waiting to be repaired behind the shed and not in the front. So if there are going to be any regulations at all, I would suggest that there be regulations more in terms of the location of the parking of the vehicles as opposed to the number, which quite frankly too, from a bylaw enforcement perspective, would be very difficult to enforce. Not to say it can't be done, but it just creates a bit of a challenge. So our preference, again, would be zero restrictions on the parking, which is option 2 before you. But if you do decide to put any restrictions, that we do ask that you kindly consider directing it to the rear of the building. And then through site plan, we can deal with other matters in terms of screens, fencing, and those types of things as well. So, but I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have. Thank you.
Sometimes I feel like I'm in a spaceship and I have all kinds of buttons to press here to get the audiovisual just right. All right, thanks, Mr. Chauvin. Colleagues, any questions pertaining to Mr. Chauvin's presentation, delegation to us tonight? Okay, there's more on this file ahead, so we'll see where that goes, certainly. All right, thank you very much. Okay, that allows us to move along to item 9 on our agenda. This is reports from departments, and first up we have 2 items tonight from the Development and Protective Services Department. In the first of the items, as item 9.1.1 on our agenda, we have a request from following on the County of Perth's decision on an official plan amendment in favor of same, to bring third reading to a zoning bylaw amendment in file ZBA 11-23. I call on Nathan Garland, who's a planner with the County of Perth, who works on North Perth files, to explain the considerations for third reading of this zoning bylaw amendment. Mr. Garland is locked and loaded in the podium here. The microphone is on. You are good to go.
Thank you, Mayor Kaysenberg, members of council. I don't have a formal presentation done up for tonight, but I do have a staff report with a recommendation that third reading be supported. So I'll read the reading out and then just give some outline around the 2 bylaws being presented and just some discussion around that, and then happy to address any questions. So the recommendation is that North Perth Council provide third reading and approval for bylaw ZBA 11-23, affecting lands described as East Part Lot 22, Concession 4, Elma Ward, Municipality of North Perth. Municipal address is 5621 Line 81. Just for council's information, both bylaws are consistent with the official plan that was passed. They are both consistent with the on-farm diversified use provisions that the province has released. So there is no inconsistency between the 2. Staff are suggesting just a restriction on some of the parking provisions. This is overnight parking only, not day-to-day parking. The day-to-day parking is as they need fit, as well as any kind of farm or implement requirements would be allowed to be parked or stored there, because that's an on-farm use, and so it's not an on-farm diversified, it is an on-farm use. Staff are also accepting and open to the idea of the other bylaw being presented without the parking restrictions on. It is probably a little easier from the bylaw enforcement side of things, so we presented both bylaws for council's consideration, and I'm happy to address or answer any questions if there is any.
Okay, colleagues, questions? First comments on this matter? Okay, not seeing any, so I have a resolution as follows: that North Perth Council provides a third reading and approves the bylaw for ZBA 11-23, affecting lands described as East Lot Part 22, Concession 4, Elma Ward, Municipality of North Perth, 5621 Line 81. I think the issue is which of these bylaw versions are we going to attend to? So before I seek a mover and seconder, perhaps council's will on this. Councillor Duncan?
I think it's option.
Oh, yeah.
It's option 2 that doesn't have any parking restrictions. Is that correct?
Mr. Garland, can you confirm? There was a little bit of a mix-up
I'm just
there.
scrolling down, but I believe that is option 2, correct.
Okay.
I'd be willing to move option 2.
Okay. So let's put that on the floor. Moved by Councillor Duncan for option 2. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Kellum. Thank you. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. All right, Mr. Garland stands before us for the next item. This is a request to remove a holding provision on development through zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 17-23. Mr. Garland, do you want to review your recommendation in this report?
I might just give 1 minute just so, is Councillor Johnson coming back?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. Someone should let him back in.
Thank you very much, Mayor Kasenberg, members of council. I'm here to present a lift of holdings, so it's a rezoning application for ZBA 17, 2023. So this is a lift of holding provision provided by Keating Keller Homes located, and the applicant, or the agent and the applicant is Patterson Planning Consultant, Scott Patterson. I had been in discussion with Scott, so I don't know if he's in tonight or online, but he may not be able to make it. So the location is Plan 290, part of Park Lot 7, RP 44R5435, parts 9, 10, 12, and 13. The municipal address is 1045 Walton Avenue North. Next slide, please. So there's just an image of the property shown from the aerial photo sketch there. So it's located just at the very northern end of currently the developed area of Walton Avenue North. The request is to lift the holding provision on the property. So currently the property is zoned RR Rural Residential 10, Special Zone 10 with an H6 holding zone on it. The holding zone just references that there was a requirement to have a site plan agreement developed in place prior to these lands being developed. Currently, the area is now paved and serviced out there, so that site plan agreement is no longer required to access or allow for services to be installed. So they've asked that that holding provision now be lifted so they can build a house there currently. So they'd like to build a house on the property. So the request is just, yep, that's great. Thanks, Sarah. So just a couple of photos of the subject property. So the outline is just in red on the left-hand side. That's just the sketched area. It's currently a little bit of overgrown grasses and weeds in through there. So eventually it would probably in the new year looking to develop a house there. So grading, topsoil, filling, etc. And then just there's the end of Walton where they haven't paved it where the turnarounds. It looks like they're using a bit of a staging area right now for future development. So eventually that area would be paved out, potentially carry on in the future. But that's where the new application for request for OP and the subdivision is going. But currently just a bit of staging area at the end there. So next slide, please. So the holding zone is specific to the property. It's the only property left on the area that does have a holding provision on there. So this is the last lot to be built out through that area. So this would be a request to lift the holding provision to allow them to build a house. The next slide, and I believe this does need to be updated. Apologies, I'll provide the clerk with an updated recommendation. So the recommendation should read that North Perth Council approve ZBA 1723 affecting lands described as Plan 290 Park Lot 7 RP 44R5435 parts 9, 10, 12, and 13. The civic address is 1045 Walton Avenue North, and that is correct in your just the agenda written package. So there is actually, just a note too, there's no requirement for a public meeting as part of this because it's a very specific or technical lifting. There is no requirement to do a public meeting. It just applies to the site plan agreement. So that's why it's coming to council for this. And there's no recommendation for a public meeting as well.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Garland. Comments, questions, colleagues on this matter? All right, now I get the fun of reading all these numbers out. I have a resolution for our consideration that North Perth Council approves ZBA 17-23 to remove a holding provision affecting lands described as Plan 290 Park Lot 7 RP 44R5435 parts 9, 10, 12, and 13, municipally known as 1045 Walton Avenue North. Can I call for a mover on this? Councillor Johnston is going to move. Councillor Nordham is our seconder. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Mr. Garland, thank you for your service tonight. We hope your holiday season is wonderful and restful. All right, let's turn next to a report from the CAO's department. Sort of vaguely the CAO's department. I want colleagues to understand this. You can see that there are multiple items in this particular report, multiple departments being represented. So in item 9.2.1, Council is asked to consider a new fees and charges bylaw for the 2024 calendar year. I don't know that we need a staff presentation. I sort of made that decision before this meeting, but if you have questions about fees and charges that you want to pursue, I'm certainly open to having you do that. And of course, we have a number of our staff experts here to try to answer those questions. So colleagues, do you have any questions or first comments on this? Councillor Rothwell.
Thanks very much, Mayor Todd and members of council. I was just going to ask the question. I believe it's on. Regarding the planning and zoning fees. It's on agenda package page 55. And I was concerned by the amount of increase for the official plan amendments, both for the county and the listable ward official plan. Less so about the zoning bylaw amendments, but the percent change basically doubles. And I'm wondering if we could hear the rationale for that, please. Thank you.
Okay, it looks like CAO Snell is giving the stare to Clerk Carter, so let's have Clerk Carter give that a try. You're 12? 12, gotcha, okay.
It is my understanding that Perth County did a fee study to make sure that those fees were set high enough. And then our Development and Protective Services Department wanted to bring our fees in line with the fees that the county is charging. I don't know if CAO Snell has any other information to provide.
Yeah, certainly that's the understanding is that through the help of county staff, we looked at the cost to process application. And so that's the fees brought forward by the county, and it's hoped that all the lower tiers would implement the same fees. It's hopeful that we'll deal with less official plans when a new official plan is passed. That's hopefully the intent. I did look around to some of our neighboring municipalities, and these fees, although they are quite an increase to us, are fairly close to being in line with what other jurisdictions are charging.
Thanks very much, both to Clerk and CAO for the responses. What my concern was is that when these fees were first established, they were based on cost recovery basis through the county, and frankly, I thought that that was the basis that we'd be moving forward. So frankly, the fact that we're doubling the fee here from when they were first started, I think 3 years ago, seeming to be substantial in my view. I certainly agree with CEO Snell. We would hope that there wouldn't be a substantial number of applications, but it's certainly a shock to see the increase at double, as opposed to, say, related to a zoning bylaw amendment up some almost 34%, which is also, frankly, sticker shock, I think, for most people. But everything else certainly seemed to be more in line with the 3 to 5% that I saw. But those ones certainly stand out. So I appreciate the comments, and I agree it's important that the same fee be charged throughout the county for these applications. But I would just hope that our county councillors could just bring the matter forward at county council and just say that it would be nicer to have justification as opposed to simply the report coming in and us implementing. That's my only concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rothwell. I think your county councillors were aware that there was going to be a significant hike in the official plan amendment line for cost recovery. As CAO Snell said, there certainly was a time study that was done to evaluate those files. And of course, I think the general premise as outlined by the staff is that we match what the county is telling us to do on that score because they're the approval authority in that particular case and are doing the work. So I think that's generally the response. Councillor Duncan, Deputy Mayor Kellum, anything to add? Okay, so
Just,
go ahead.
one last matter, just Mayor Todd and councillors, is that my concern was that we know that applications vary in their size and scale substantially. And I think that the one fee does it all approach is not necessarily the one that needs to be followed. When we have some applications which, for an official plan amendment, frankly, could very well be very straightforward. And certainly if the fee is seemed to be appropriate there, but then we have some that are much more complex, taking much more time and more in terms of reporting. And I would think that those are the ones that perhaps should have an increased fee, as if we could have sort of a major or minor, if you will. I think there's an understanding of going in is that the applications are more complex, so they will take more time. And if we're truly on a cost recovery basis, I think that's the model that we should be looking at. Thank you.
Noted. I think certainly we can bring that to the table as a concept. I have no issue with raising that at the county table. I think that there's a better preview of what those fees may be now because of pre-consultation. And so maybe that's the opportunity to have the planning department sort of set or calibrate the fee. Here's what we think it's going to be. And then an opportunity sort of in the aftermath or at some point in there to say, oh, this is way more complicated than we thought. So I'll raise that as a potential process improvement for the county, and I'm sure that my colleagues will support us at least having a chat about it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. So any other questions, comments about the fees and charges bylaw? I trust that everyone notes that this is sort of a renovation work. This is a much changed bylaw from what we've done in previous years, and with sort of new preface and a new approach to all of the schedules being involved. So I think staff deserves a little bit of appreciation for bringing us something that's fresh and shiny here. All right. Since I'm not seeing any other interest in expressing comments on this resolution as follows, that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth approves the 2024 fees and charges bylaw as presented. Can I call for a mover? Councillor Andreessen, thank you, and Councillor Blazek will be our seconder. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. And again, to staff, thanks for that work. We like seeing a simplification in the way that this was done. Looks simpler than in the past. So appreciate that contribution. All right, let's turn then to item 9.3.1. In this one, Council is asked to advance the proposed 2024 budget for the municipality of North Perth to the next efforts, namely public consultation. Do we have someone speaking to this? Clerk Carter? Mr. Romani wants to come forward. All right, so our treasurer, Ashton Romani, is stepping forward to speak to this briefly. I don't think there's a resolution that I've seen in the documentation, but if we need to do that, then support us. Mr. Romani, welcome. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Kaysenberg. So before you is the consolidated 2024 budget consultation package, which combines the operating and capital reports previously presented at the previous budget meetings. So next steps in the process is including posting the package to the municipal website with an accompanying virtual presentation by the budget chair and co-chair. And the public consultation period is anticipated to occur between January 22nd and 26th, with feedback intaking during that process through your Say North Perth. After completion of the consultation period, pending any feedback, The budget package will be brought back to council for final approval at the February 5th meeting. So as referenced in the previous meeting, this budget package represents a general tax levy of just under $19,800,000, or a 6.58% increase on the average residential bill. And staff are here to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Colleagues, any questions or comments for Mr. Romani? I think we've known from approval of the process how this moves forward, so I'm not too sure that we need a resolution of further direction here. Carter, are you okay with that?
Yes, I believe this report was just for information.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you, Mr. Romani, for giving us the brief overview. Again, continuing appreciation to our budget chair and vice chair for their works on this. And we are getting there. I think that's the message that comes from this report, is that we are getting there. All right, thanks. Let's move to item 9.4.1. This is a report from the Facilities Department. Council is asked to approve a contract for a roofing project in the Listowel Public Works Facility building. We've certainly heard a bit about this project earlier in this term, I think, and maybe even last term, and we knew it was a complex project. So we have with us our Manager of Facilities, Jeff Newell, to review his report about the procurement process and to answer any questions about the award of tender that's proposed. Mr. Newell.
Good evening, Mayor Kaysenberg and members of council. Before you is a report with regards to the roofing project for the Public Works building located on 580 Main Street in Listowel. We issued a request for tender for the complete removal and replacement of the roof. It is a historically designated facility. We have looked, we had the bidders bid on 3 different types of roof material options, including replica cedar shake application, as well as standing seam steel and asphalt shingles were the 3 different approaches that we had people price on. We had five bidders come in, 4 of which had a variety of prices for the removal of the roof, which was priced separately. And then of the 3 different types of applications, they gave their bids on those different kinds. We worked in conjunction with Ontario Roofing Consulting Associates, and the opinion of the roof consultant on this project is that the most cost-efficient and long-lasting durable roof material option is the standing seam metal panels. When we looked at price is not the only determining factor on this, because we are looking at other options. The price for this project comes in at below our capital budget request that we had made for 2023. The amount is $516,436.20. The budget for this project was $656,000. So we feel that the efficiencies and durability of a steel roof and the fact that it is under budget is the best way to go, and that was the lowest bidder that we had was Atlas Apex Roofing.
All right, thank you, Mr. Newell. Any questions or first comments? Councillor Richardson?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Kaysenberg. Just wondering, when the request for tenders had come in, are you confident that the standing steel rib will maintain the same look of the property that the cedar shake would provide?
Yes, there's a couple of things at play, Councillor Richardson. One of them is that we want to maintain a similar look to what we have as far as another heritage building in town, which would be the Carnegie Library. So we'd like to use a product similar to that, and that will be part of the design as well. But it is a standing seam roof that is also on the Carnegie. So that's the notion, is that we would use that. The cedar shake replica shingles came in well over the $650,000 budgeted amount, some as high as $1 million for that project. So yes, very pricey, and none of the 4 bidders bid underneath budget on that one. And it's not a proven technology. They've only been using it for about 10 years. So they may hear that you get a 20-year life expectancy of it, but we've only done it for 10 years, so we don't know exactly how long that would be. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Richardson. Anyone else with questions? Certainly my thoughts were to yours, is the aesthetic of this and how it's going to change the look of that building. But I think your answer gives some comfort. Anyone else with questions or comments?
And maybe further to that, if I could add, reviewing the bylaw that had the heritage designation on that, the important part was that the profile of the roof remained the same. So the turret and the look and the dormers and all that would remain the same. It didn't speak to the material that that could be used to replace the roof. It didn't say that. It just said that the profile needed to remain the same.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, I have a resolution then for consideration as follows. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth awards request for tender NP-062-23T list to a public works building roof replacement as per recommendation from Ontario Roof Consultants and Associates for roof deck 2.0 TPO and provisional number 1 roof decks 1.0, 1.1 and former liquid chlorine building standing seam metal panels, including warranty fees, to Atlas Apex Roofing Inc., Etobicoke, Ontario, in the amount up to $516,436.20, excluding taxes. Can I call for a mover on this one? Councillor Andreessen, thanks. Councillor Richardson will be our seconder. Any discussion or debate? Not seeing any hands waving at me. Let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. Mr. Noel, thank you. That brings us to item 10 on our agenda. Certainly opportunity for asking reports of staff at this point in time or of our committees. Anyone wishing to do so? Perhaps it's a Christmas gift that we don't ask for reports at this point in time. All right, let's move to item 11. We have received no additional items of correspondence beyond that already shared in our consent agenda for Council's disposition. At this point, then, we turn to consideration of bylaws that have been recommended to us for action this evening. We have a couple of councillors, and the minutes should note that they're exiting the chamber. So Council recalls that with respect to the first one, we did choose option 2, which was a no parking restriction bylaw. So I have a resolution as follows: that bylaw 145-2023 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 6-ZB-1999 as amended be read a third time and be finally passed, and that the following bylaws are hereby passed. 138-2023 being a bylaw to provide for various fees and charges for the municipality of North Perth, and 152-23 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 6-ZB-1999 as amended. Can I call for Councillor Richardson? Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Blazek. Any discussion or debate on this matter? All right, seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. We can invite our colleagues to return to the chamber. They were just starting the party and it didn't go very long. That's my working theory, at least. Yeah, indeed. All right, so that turns us to item 13 on our agenda. Item 13.1. Do any councillors wish to leave to give notice of motion this evening? We're not seeing any indication of that. That brings us to item 14 on our agenda. For item 14, are there any announcements that would be of benefit to our community or that reflect well on North Perth at this time? And of course, if we have some connected still through web conference, I'm not sure, but if they have something they'd like to bring forward, that is also an opportunity at this point in our meeting. Colleagues, I'm giving you advance notice that I'll give you the opportunity to extend holiday greetings a little bit later in the meeting. So hang on and maybe even prepare. But certainly, if you have other announcements at this hour, I'd be happy to have them. Not seeing any. I thought I saw some notes about some hockey successes of some of our young people in the community over the weekend. So I look forward to perhaps the clerk team looking into that somewhat further. I think there were some championships won. I saw some mighty big trophies being hoisted. So I think that that's an exciting piece of news for the community. All right, that brings us to item 15. We have two items to be considered in a closed session of council. Tonight, I have a resolution that explains and enables our action to go into closed session as follows. The council proceeds in camera at 7:41 p.m. to address matters pertaining to the following. First, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board regarding Plan 441, Lot 18, Lot 21, 218 Winstanley Street. And two, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, regarding an assessed landowner on the Steg Municipal Drain. Can I call for a mover, Councillor Rothwell? Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Duncan. I see your hand just waving aggressively there. All right. Any discussion or debate on that one? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And we are missing one.
I'm in favor.
Okay. All right. So Councillor Anstett records a manual yes vote. That is carried. That means that we're going to reconfigure here briefly our audiovisual equipment so that we can conduct a closed meeting session. Any staff or others who have not been invited to remain for the closed session may now exit the chamber. We'll be back after our closed session meeting. Let me work on that now. that should be the, okay, so we need someone to check to see if we are, and Councillor Richardson, our trusty YouTube checker. Please hold.
Operators are standing by. Video's up.
Okay. Can we hear anything? We're on. All right. Thank you to everyone for checking that we're back. We have voted in closed session to reconvene into open session at this point. I can confirm that council did discuss both matters that were put before us and that were described in our enabling resolution for a closed session meeting of council. Council did give staff direction pertaining to those matters. The essence of that direction will remain confidential at this time for the reasons stipulated in our enablement of closed session. All right, here's our wonderful opportunity. We are in the Christmas season. We are just past Hanukkah. Opportunity for folks to celebrate, certainly. And I'm going to invite my colleagues to extend Christmas wishes, as we have done a few times, I think, during my tenure as mayor. So time to do this again. Maybe I'll go in reverse direction because Leanne's sweating here. We'll go over to Alan first. And Alan, you're welcome to join us, Councillor Rothwell. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Todd, members of council and staff, certainly in the public. I wish everyone all the best of this season, and as you celebrate with your family and friends, Merry Christmas to one and all, and be safe and as you celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rothwell. Let's go next to Councillor Richardson.
Thank you. I'd just like to say to staff, to council, to all residents of North Perth, and everyone listening, that I'd like to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And all the best to everyone during this holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. Councillor Nordham.
Yeah, I will echo that. Merry Christmas to staff and Merry Christmas from my family to yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and yes, Merry Christmas to all members of council, all staff, and all residents of North Perth. I hope the family gatherings and the fun head through the Christmas season is great to all, and everybody stay safe. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Kellum.
Thank you, Mayor Kaysenberg. A year is behind us as a council. A job well done by all of you. Thank you for the support. From my family to yours, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas, a healthy and happy 2024.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Duncan.
Thank you. I'd like to wish all the residents of our municipality, our staff, and the rest of council a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you. Councillor Blasek.
Thank you. On behalf of myself, my husband Merrick, and our daughters, it's been a great first year. And again, thank you for your support. I echo Deputy Mayor's words there. Merry Christmas and a very safe and happy 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Blasek. Councillor Anstead.
Thank you, Mayor Kaysenberg and council staff. Just want to thank everyone for their hard work this year. A lot of challenges we faced, and we've come through them very strong. So on behalf of my family, my wife Amelia, our sons Duncan and Everett, I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday season. May, however you celebrate this year, may it be with family and friends, and that everyone stays safe and you have a joyous and prosperous 2024. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Anstead. Councillor Andreessen.
Yes, I just want to send my Christmas greetings to council and to staff. I certainly want to extend my gratitude to all of our staff at all levels for all of their efforts day to day and the business of our municipality. I also want to acknowledge our volunteers and service groups for their contributions to our community and thank them for all their efforts this year. To our businesses, our agricultural community, service organizations, and our residents, regardless of your faith or traditions, I wish everyone a wonderful season of joy and celebration and a new year of prosperity, health, and hope. Happy New Year in 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Andreessen. There's a lot of good feeling in this room at this point. I'm excited for it. It has been a great first year for this term of council, and so I congratulate my colleagues and thank them for their diplomacy and their skill in dealing with many of the issues that we had before us. It has been a busy year. I took note of how many bylaws we'll have passed by the end of this meeting, and there's quite a few. There's so much to be grateful for living in our community. My family loves Christmas. I think we actually kind of go over the top. There are 8 Christmas trees in my home. My wife would have me clarify that only one of them is 7.5 feet and the rest are smaller. But we go all out for Christmas because it creates such a sense of happiness and joy. And I hope that that spirit extends into all of our homes and our families as we move forward through this season of wonder and mystery. I think the big mystery this year might be, when is it going to snow? That's something that I find myself intrigued by at this point. But Councillor Rothwell thinks it's snowing outside. I don't know if you call that snow. It doesn't feel very legitimate to me. But a great appreciation to staff and to the team that we have and that we've built in this organization. I think they've done an amazing job. There's a lot of dedication that's going on. There's a lot of energy that's in the organization for the work that has been on their plate and lies ahead. And so I'm excited for the possibilities of 2024 as well. I wish everyone a sensible and joyous and safe holiday season as we move towards that 2024 date, and remind everyone, and Councillor Rothwell had to chew me out last week for being a little, gloomy at the end, but remind everyone that we have January 8th, a council meeting, so soon enough we'll be back to work. Maybe it's a new tradition, Ellen, I don't know. Anyway, wishing everybody the best this season, and again, lots of safety as well. Let's turn to our confirmatory action here. As good practice, near the end of our meeting agenda, we confirm all of our actions. We have a few councillors leaving the room because of stated pecuniary interest declarations. So I have a draft for a confirmatory bylaw number 153-2023. 153 bylaws. That's pretty good. As follows. Bylaw 153-2023 being a bylaw to confirm generally previous actions of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth is hereby passed. Moved by Councillor Greason, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kellum. I think we can directly have this vote. And that is carried. Thank you. Let's bring our colleagues back into our midst. It was agreed tonight that those who had to declare pecuniary interest were going to sing a song, a Christmas song for council. So.
Silent partner.
The Milli Vanilli approach, yes. All right, let's consider adjournment then. Colleagues, we've done everything that we've been asked to do to this point in the council meetings this year, which means that we've come to the point of adjournment for this meeting and for the year. As follows, the council meeting adjourns at 9:03 p.m. to meet again for general council business on Monday, January 8th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Moved by Councillor Blazek, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Richardson. It's not debatable. Let's have that vote. And that is carried. Colleagues, our next regular council meeting, January 8th, 2024. Until that time, season's greetings. Our meeting is adjourned.